cause a problem.
Okay, hey Scott, and was it Beth?
That's Beth. Yep.
Yes, okay, yeah, great to see you guys.
Good to see you. Appropriate seating.
Yep, and I got the seating, and I got this. This is I got this from the Maasai. Actually, my friends, yeah, they worked in Maasai land, and so this was kind of a little honorary garment they made for me there. So I was
Nice.
I gotta wear it let you guys see it. But
Yeah.
I'm coming to you from my basement because I just Saturday I was diagnosed with COVID.
Oh,
I'm getting that out of the way. So
yeah, I see that.
yeah. So
You don't sound bad.
first 2 days was pretty miserable. This is the third day, and it's just markedly different. Fever's kind of gone down. Muscle aches and pains are diminished. So I'm hoping that actually I'm in a vaccine trial. I was telling others here, and I don't know if I actually got an experimental vaccine or not because the trial is blinded. So I'm hoping I got it, and that's preventing me from getting severe illness. But any 2-dose vaccination at this point, if you don't have a booster, it's pretty much breaking through most of the vaccines, if not all of them. So get a booster out there, everybody, if you can. But,
we're boosted.
Great. Yep. And let me just go ahead. Oops, can you guys see the screen there?
Yeah, Republic of Kenya.
Yep.
Yeah, so there you go. My visa's all set. I am arriving in Kenya June 22nd. So this is kind of what it looks like. And I did send that information around with the link there with your great questions there, Scott. So, and there's my flight. So I'm booked. Whether you guys are coming or not, I'm going. Yeah, but you can see I'm leaving June 21st. I go to Amsterdam and then Amsterdam to Nairobi. So it's usually, like I say, about 20 hours or so, maybe 22 hours.
So Bruce, I see that you have the visa. You mentioned that you'd probably be staying longer. Is that you get the visa because you're there more than 2 weeks, or would everyone going need a visa?
Everybody needs a visa, yeah. So you have to go online there, and in those notes I sent around, I can send those to you as well, Brittany.
Okay.
But, there's a link in there. You have to apply online. Before, you could just go right to fly into Kenya, and you would go through a line, a QE, and they'd give you a visa. You purchase your visa right there at the airport. But that causes some problems. It was kind of easy sometimes. You didn't have to go through anything online, and sometimes there's hassles online as well. But I think they decided that when people come in after a long flight, you don't want to be standing there for an hour or two and waiting in line to get your visa. So if you have it with you, and you have to print off a paper, a copy, a colored copy as well. So just be aware of that and have that ready. So I think it'll make the lines go quicker once you arrive at the airport as well. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to see the itinerary? I can send that around too if anybody wants a copy. I know it's on the Audubon website, but
Yes.
if anybody needs a copy of that, maybe just type it in the chat there, or I can just send it around to everybody again. And you can see it has a lot of pictures on there as well.
Indeed, it does. It even has hyraxes.
No loraxes, but hyraxes, yes.
Have you seen the December edition of National Geographic?
I did not. Was it talking about Kenya?
It's almost exclusively talking about Kenya and Tanzania and the wildebeest migration and all the other animals that depend on it.
Wow. Yeah, it's, again, every time I start looking at the pictures and talking about it, I just get like this adrenaline rush because it's just such an awesome experience. It's unforgettable, and I just love going back yeah, I've been there probably about at least 8 times, maybe 9. I forgot. So over since 2011. So multiple times, and of course I spent a year there. So I just love going back, and it's again the most biodiverse place, pretty much for megafauna, that you'll find anywhere in the world. I mean, you're not going to find that anywhere else. You know, you hear about Brazil and the tropical rainforest. They've got obviously the highest biodiversity there, but a lot of little critters, not a lot of big things roaming around there that you're going to see, and these things are right next to you. Let me just show you a few things as well before we go into the questions. Just some pictures there. Yeah, I may as well just go through these again. Just to give you, if you weren't here for the first meeting, I know most of you were, but just give you a look at some sites you might see there, besides a lot of the birds here. The African darter, fish eagle, the African hoopoe, the African gray hornbill. I don't have a zillion pictures like I did last time, so just briefly. African wattled lapwing. I used to call them plovers, but it changed to lapwings. Very unique creatures. Black-headed weaver, lots of weavers, very famous in Kenya, the tropics. A black crake, kind of a rail-like bird. Black-faced sand grouse. And a few other critters. And you're going to be on the equator, crossing the equator probably a few times. And you're going to see a lot of volcanic geology. Lake Baringo is basically a caldera. The cliffs are basaltic cliffs, and you're kind of going to be walking around in the caldera there. Very unique scenery.
Nice.
The ostrich, of course, male and female, and you can see the male was after the female, and you can tell that when they're kind of on the prowl for the female, their neck turns this really bright red, and then you have some of the flamingos, of course, lesser flamingos. There's greater as well, but you can see this is what you're likely to see when you go there. Just amazing, hundreds of thousands. That's at Lake Bogoria. And some visitors to your lodges. You might see a few of these, keeping some of the bugs away that might show up. And as I was mentioning, I think to Scott, when I first went there, I was thinking, man, there might be a lot of bugs there, like because you hear about Brazil and the rainforest, and the bugs can get pretty terrible. But in Kenya, I've never really had that problem. Maybe at nighttime around Lake Baringo, you get some of the gnats and things flying around, hatching from the lake. But I've never had any serious problems with insects and things biting you and I got to get out of here. So that was a big plus. That's the giant kingfisher, by the way. They have many different kinds of kingfishers. So if you haven't seen the glossy ibis here, you'll see the glossy ibis in Kenya. It's a great cormorant. They have a few different cormorants there. Gray woodpecker. And this is interesting, nice homemade kind of kayak with the hammerkop kind of eating the entrails. And we watch he'd catch a fish, he'd clean them out and throw the entrails in there, and the hammerkop would go down there and just pluck them from the water. So pretty cool. This is some of the lodging at Amboseli National Park. Very comfortable. This is lapid-faced vultures. Of course, you'll see many vultures in Africa. A few more pictures of the flamingos. This is one of my favorites. The adult feeding one of the young ones. And you'll be able to get out at Lake Bogoria and kind of walk around and take some pictures, but beware, the flocks of flamingos are so great, so numerous, that the stench from some of their droppings can sort of itch your nasal passages a little bit. But it's an amazing experience. It's a little bee eater, one of my favorite birds over there. the different types of bee eaters. Starlings, this is a magpie starling. And boy, you're used to the European starling here, and maybe we have the magpie starling as well, different one. But they have couple dozen different starlings. Fascinating variety. Some of the things you might see around here that you see there in different forms. Little praying mantis there. Marabou stork. Monitor lizards. Let's get a look at quite a few, I think, monitor lizards. You're probably not going to get that kind of a look at Mount Kenneth for another trip, but that was up at a lodge about 10,000 feet elevation, and we're up on the top of the lodge. And you could kind of zoom in and take a picture of the top of Mount. Mount Kenya is about, I think, 18,000 plus feet. Second highest peak in Africa, behind Mount Kilimanjaro, which is over 19,000 feet. But you'll probably see the mountain as we drive towards Samburu. But like I say, another trip you can visit the mountainous areas of Kenya. Slender-tailed nightjar, pearl-spotted owlet, pygmy falcon. This is the Ruppel's griffin vulture. And again, just amazing variety of starlings. This is a Ruppel tail starling. Pretty amazing.
Why can't we trade ours for those?
Yeah. This is the scarlet-chested sunbird. Many different types of sunbirds. You see some really beautiful sunbirds. And white-faced scops owl. And usually we'll see several owls. The guides there are just great, and they often know where the owls are, and they can track them down. So, secretary bird again. Spoonbill, right? African spoonbill. Spotted hyena. This is a spotted thick-knee. Very interesting birds. Striped kingfisher. This is the water thick-knee. This is the white-throated bee eater. Yellow-billed oxpeckers on the zebra. And yellow-winged bats, sometimes hanging out. Let me just show you a couple videos. Kind of put you in. I'll put you in Africa a little bit with the video. This was at one of the lodges. Something you might see. You often see vervet monkeys, and these guys came scooting through an amboseli. Banded mongoose, and very sociable creatures. I was amazed at how many were there. I was like, yeah, I know they're social creatures, but running around the camp and
It's like a wave.
keeping the vermin away. So they're nice to see. And you are pretty much that close on occasions. They're really acclimated to the vehicles. People have been driving through these parks for so many years. They just pay them no mind. And there's some fisher starlings you see in the kind of following them around. And these elephants are keystone species. You know, they eat the trees, keep the savanna from becoming basically a forest. And of course, their droppings and whatnot provide a lot of food. And just walking around, they scare up little insects and things like that for the other birds. Interesting, if you watch their feet, they don't use their trunks to really rip out. They just go back to it. Watch this. watch their, how they'll wrap it with their trunk, and then they'll use their foot, and they'll just kind of, so they're not using a lot of energy to pull that, rip that food out of the ground. They just take that big foot and just kick it aside and rips it off for them, makes it a lot easier to eat without using energy. And let me just show you one more here. No guarantees that you'll see things like I have, but very good chance you'll get some good looks at some of the top predators there too, like the lions. And again, they just, vehicles are kind of nothing to the animals. And of course, you have to be on good behavior. Don't want to make any sudden moves or loud noises when they're coming by. That's a young one there. The first one was an adult, but this is a younger one. Had a nice big pride. There was probably about 15 of them that kind of just kept strolling by us. Pretty cool to see. Sometimes you might get lucky and see a kill. But, it's more unusual, but we have come upon some that were feeding on a kill. And we did actually experience one in Nairobi National Park. Hartebeest was running across the savannah, and a bunch of lions just sprang a trap on it and just took it down not too far from us. So pretty cool to see. All right. Joseph, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why don't we just go through the questions a little bit here, and if anybody has any more questions about anything as we go through them, please go ahead and just unmute yourself and let us know what your question is, and we'll try to answer it as best we can. But let's go through these first, and then we can, if you need information too about kind of maybe payments or anything like that, that we can do that further down the line if you're interested in coming. Okay. Just start at the top. Is there any insurance? I hope everybody had a chance to kind of read through there, but flight insurance, all companies pretty much offer some kind of flight insurance. So again, it's up to each person whether you want to go ahead and get that insurance. In today's kind of COVID world, you know, something could come up. I don't know. So you might want to go that route. Same goes for travel health insurance. Maybe want to be a little more protected. It costs a little bit of money, but generally, if you have pretty good insurance here, you can always contact your health provider and just let them know, hey, you know, I'm going to Kenya. What do I need to know about that? But you'll be with us. Anything happens, of course, we'll take good care of you. You will not be abandoned. And, we'll get the best care. So I have great friends there. They've taken good care of me, and they'll do the same for you. Of course, I'll be there as well. Shots, any shots that are needed. Again, Brittany's going to Kenya, and she's taken quite a few different shots, maybe some boosters of different vaccines. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah,
So,
I have a list that I can pull up in a few seconds of my own, because I have a list of vaccinations that they recommend for. We're going to Kenya and Seychelles, and so there are some overlap, but there's a few that you'd only get along the coastline that you wouldn't necessarily need in Kenya. So if you want to keep talking, I'll look my list up and I'll pull that up.
Yes, and the COVID vaccine, of course, is mandatory. Yellow fever, it's pretty much, if we're not traveling like out of the country to different parts of Kenya that have maybe some endemic yellow fever, you don't really have to get it. you know, it's again up to you, but it's not mandatory. I don't think any other vaccines are mandatory. Um, like I was there for a year, so it's a little different for me. So I was going for a year, so I got a booster for, you know, MMR, you know, DPT, you know, diphtheria, pertussis, a polio, you know, booster. So I got kind of everything because I was going to be there. And this goes kind of with the next question.
So I do have that list I can read off to everybody. If you want to
Go ahead.
write it down, feel free. You can send me an email and I can send these to you. But like Bruce says, the only one that is absolutely required for you to have proof before you travel is COVID-19. He mentions the malaria. That is not an immunization, it's a pill. So you will be taking a pill. It is recommended. As he says, yellow fever, hepatitis A and B, typhoid is recommended. Typhoid, though, you do want to wait until a little closer to take it because the vaccination doesn't last as long. So you'd have to get it again if it had to be postponed. So probably at least after January would be the best time to get your typhoid. Cholera, yellow fever, rabies, meningitis, polio, MMR, which is kind of like your measles. I forget the other three, but the Tdap, which is like your tetanus and other ones, chickenpox or shingles if you needed to. Those are options. Influenza, and then again the malaria pills. So again, they're not all required. They're just recommended. Just because we don't necessarily see those diseases in our area doesn't mean that there isn't a chance that you couldn't potentially get them while you're over there. And so that's a list of recommended for the Kenya area.
Yeah, that's a long list, and I don't think you have to get all those as long as you have the COVID vaccine. You have some malaria prophylaxis and the typhoid. You're only staying for 16 days, and we're staying at some very good resorts, and you're not going to be going to kind of squalid areas where they don't have good sanitation and things like that. And as we mentioned before too, we'll be limiting in this next question. We'll definitely have just bottled water for drinking and brushing, right, for oral hygiene. Stick with that, and it seems to really help. I haven't had any problems last few times I've been going over with using bottled water strictly. I went to a few places prior, some experiences before the last few years. Went to a few places that probably weren't the best restaurants, and I think I had some water in a pitcher with some ice, and it just happened to be just a day or two before I was flying back home, and that was not a pleasant experience. So I got hit just as my plane is going, and 20 hours flight, and people on the plane must have been looking at me and just going, "Why, this is his 20th time getting up." So I definitely know what you mean here. So, but we'll definitely be staying away from that kind of a situation. But those other ones, again, it's up to you. You want to talk to your doctor if you have, some kind of medical condition too. You might want to be more protected. But I don't foresee any major problems with some of those other shots that you have to get. Joseph, what do you think? What's your perspective?
For me, from my experience, like I wrote in the, it's basically being careful, and we try to do the necessary and check up. Like we book our clients in some of the best hotels actually, and the hygienic standard is very high. You shouldn't worry so much about. I think perhaps you should pack a small packet of medicine, like common medicine for like a running stomach, or maybe a headache or something like that. The malaria prophylaxis is what I'll probably recommend. Because you're in a tropical region, and this might be pretty new for you guys.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing much to think about actually, from my experience.
Again, recommended to, obviously consult with your doctor to let them know where you're going, and see what they recommend as well. But that's my experience too. I wouldn't go out and get a ton of shots. But
In regards to the shots, if people are looking to get some of these vaccines, say you haven't been going to your doctor for some reason, I don't know, but Rite Aid and some pharmacies are actually, you can register to get some of these vaccines and immunizations from right down your street, honestly. We've been going to a Rite Aid down the street for us, and I just got my meningitis, and so any shots that you may need that you might want to get before going, not all of them, but some of them are available at your local pharmacies for you to get.
Thanks, Brittany. And Brittany mentioned the typhoid too. There's a shot for it. I did take a shot one time. I don't really take anything at this point. I feel pretty safe and comfortable. And if I do get sick, I know Joseph, I know Willie, I've got great friends there. I know I'll be taken care of. I mean, if something happens, they've got medicine there. It's not, again, like sometimes you think, you get these ideas, we're going to Kenya, it's a poor country. You know, if I get sick, nobody's going to be there to help me. But they're right there, they're on the ball, and they've taken care of me every time I've needed any assistance. So keep that in mind too.
Let me just add something, Bruce. We each and every client who will be going on this trip will have a medical evacuation insurance. So probably if you felt sick in Masai Mara, the Amber of Kenya will fly down there and pick you up and bring you up to Nairobi. And from Nairobi now, your insurance, medical insurance will take care of you.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
So is that with the U.S. insurance, Joseph?
Now this is
You get trip insurance, travel trip insurance?
Amber of Kenya.
Okay, maybe you can type that in the chat. Maybe like,
All right.
How would people get that trip insurance? Then Joseph?
I do it.
Oh, you do it for them.
Yeah. The only thing I'll give to you is the card when you arrive.
Oh, okay. So you have it covered. They don't have to pay anything for it.
No.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so there you go. All right.
So,
yeah. Anything else?
Perhaps if they get sick in Samburu or somewhere in Amboseli, they will stuck there in the bush for no. We will get medical help to evacuate you to a good medical facility in Nairobi or in Mombasa somewhere.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up one other point, I guess, too, like the perception too. I know the U.S. Embassy is always sending out, these warnings, where not to go, and there's terrorism and things like that. And you have to keep in mind too, like, what if somebody from Kenya wanted to come to the U.S. and they're looking at all the murders and the highest murder rate in the world, and so you have to keep things in perspective. Kenya is not that dangerous of a place, and the people there are incredibly friendly, and again, you're well taken care of. We don't go to the place, just like you wouldn't go somewhere here in the cities of Detroit, Chicago, and other places without knowing where you're going. Same thing in Kenya, and that's why we have the best people there, and they'll keep us in the safest places all the time. So just be aware of that. All right, yes, some words here, phrases. I will have a lot more for you. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll make you feel right at home. We just listed a few words here, and there'll be others as we go, like Lala Salam. I'm just thinking of another one off the top of my head. Good night, Kwaheri, goodbye, stuff like that. So we'll have more things like that. I don't know if you want to get one of those translators, app translators. You just speak it and it'll come out for you. You can also watch The Lion King again, and Hakuna Matata, and Pumbaa is the warthog, Simba is the lion. That's all Swahili for a lot of things. So, but anyway, we're there. You'll have no problem. We'll be there at all times. So, and also sometimes we'll go to places. Maybe you want to buy a souvenir or something, and people might want to try to make you pay an exorbitant price, but you have people with you that that know kind of what you might want to pay. So I just wanted to bring that up too. And I don't know if you can see, these are some of the things I've gotten, some of the trinkets. This is a malachite carving, by the way. It's very beautiful. probably costs, I don't know, maybe $20. It's really nice. But that was one of the more expensive things I've gotten. And then they make these things out of soapstone as well. Just a little plates here, just really nice little painting on a little bowl. And they often have things in there, but these are things I've gotten. And again, maybe $4 or $5, something like that. Very beautiful. And can't forget my hippo. I've got a few things. This one says Caribou on it. You can see that there. But very beautiful carvings. They're very good artists, very resourceful. So if you want to purchase a few things when you go, it really helps the local economy as well. Money, yes, I'm glad you asked this question because I don't want anybody coming over and then saying, hey, whoa, look at we paid $67.50, but now we're paying this extra money here. But look at it as like you're going anywhere on, in the US, you're going to the restaurant, and when you go to the restaurant, are you going to leave a tip or are you just going to walk out without one? I mean, that's up to you, really. You don't have to pay these things, but again, I think most people make it just part of their basically, customary giving to people who are helping you out. So again, that's up to you guys, but maybe Joseph wants to comment a little more. I kind of broke things down there to give you kind of a rough estimate there.
Yeah, let me just say, tipping is a big culture in Kenya. People expect the staff at the lodges will expect a tip, but a tip can only be hand. So if by your own estimation you think they didn't do a superb job, then you are under no obligation to tip. It is not mandatory.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what we're doing, we're just writing there's an estimation of what you can tip. A porter in the lodge, or a restaurant, a waiter, or driver guide, a guide, those are just the estimate. But if you can give, actually, you can give what you feel comfortable giving.
Yeah. So anything is appreciated. Yeah, anything is appreciated. So.
And no hard feelings.
Yeah, but like porters, every place we go, the porters will be grabbing your bags and escorting you to the rooms. And I say it's always a couple bucks. It's up to you if you want to get a little more. That's fine, but usually a couple bucks. And that at the meal, people are serving you. Again, a couple bucks. And the exchange rate is about right now. It's about 111 shillings per dollar. And I just wanted to make this point here. I didn't consult with Joseph first, so forgive me for this part here, but I mentioned maybe you could send over extra cash and Joseph could convert it, but Joseph politely reminded me that anything that goes to his bank account will get taxed as income for him. And so what we're just recommending now is you just bring the cash with you, and then we'll convert it at the airport. The exchange rate probably is not going to be quite as high, but it'll be pretty good nonetheless. I think that the dollar is really high now
Yes.
compared to others, so it should still be pretty high. With the pandemic we're still going through, so you should get your dollar should go further. So just keep that in mind. But we'll get that exchange for you right at the airport. Or another place.
It was very helpful that there was the example that things are for like drivers and so on are paid by the car, not by the person.
Yes.
And I just wondered if Joseph agreed that your breakdown was about right.
Yeah, Joseph, what do you think?
Oh yeah, it's per car, not per person. Is that clear? Or I can repeat myself?
Yeah, yes, no, it's definitely clear. I was actually thinking more about the amounts.
No,
Oh, all right. The per car or per vehicle.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned like per day for the driver about $25 or so, somewhere in that range. And
Yeah,
per
for
day.
the whole group can share the $20
per day, yeah. So $4 or $5 per day.
But that is,
And again, yeah, it depends on the service again.
yeah. And again, those are things you do at the end of the trip. I'm not saying that you give them $20 every day. No. We all these things. The last day of the trip, we will have an envelope for everybody. Then you put what you think they are worth, or what they found. Then we give it to them the last day.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then these other things, these other things too. You know, these little local experiences. And again, maybe some of you, I'm not sure how you feel about that. Like, if we visit a school and we have a tree planting, I don't know if you guys are averse to that. We don't have to do it. You know, some of you may just feel, man, I don't want to do that. And again, you don't have to give an arm and a leg if we go there. But again, a nice contribution. We actually, Joseph and I, well, Willie, we've been sponsoring some students with my local high school. So we've probably sponsored about 20 students already. And we've been donating like $100 per student. $100 covers a whole year of schooling for them. So any small amount that you would give, you know, $20 or something like that would be awesome. But again, it's up to you guys. We could talk about that a little bit. I know, how do you guys feel about maybe doing some of these? And again, it's in Joseph's and Willie's, you know, local backyard, so they know these schools. And I just think it's neat to go in and kind of be a part of the culture, and also bring a soccer ball, maybe instead of giving a donation, maybe a soccer ball you can bring with you and give them something. What do you think, Joseph?
Yeah, that will be that is something that people do if we have time to do it, and if they're willing to do it, we accept to take people to schools. However, with the COVID-19, we've just received a circular: all schools don't accept visitors at the moment. So
Okay.
people to come in.
Okay.
But I can, if you have pens or a ball or something, I can deliver them through the teacher, and the teacher could take it to school.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe bringing a soccer ball, and would be great.
Yeah.
It's just such a nice experience, though, to meet the children, the students, the teachers, and to see their reaction to you being there. They really do love Americans. They love people from the U.S. Ever since, especially ever since Barack Obama became president. So he's kind of like a native son there. So they really do enjoy the company of people from the U.S. there. What do you guys think, Tim and Scott and anybody else out there? What is your thoughts on that? Feel free.
Yeah, I would be agreeable, but would it be a whole day event or?
No, we wouldn't do that whole day. Yeah.
Okay. No,
And if we have if we have time, if we think we don't have time for it, then we will just call it off.
Sure.
Depending on our schedule and what we want to do, what our plans are, we shouldn't really introduce other. If we think we have some ample time to do it, then we really will organize for it.
Yeah. So let's just kind of say we're not going to do that, and just say, if you want to bring a soccer ball, we can deliver that to the schools, and then if if we're there and people say, hey, you know what, it might be a pretty good thing to do, we can always spur of the moment. Nothing has to be set in stone, but we definitely don't want to kind of cheat you out of your time seeing the wildlife and the birds and everything like that. So that's definitely the main focus.
Bruce,
obviously.
there was a question in the chat that I wanted to kind of pose for you. It's kind of related to what you're talking about, but it could also be related to things across the whole trip. So Josette asked, is this something that the whole group has to do, or can some go and the rest stay at the resort? So say across the board, there's something that the group plans to do that maybe someone's like, well, I don't feel comfortable with this, I don't want to. Is there always a backup option for those people if they choose not to participate in something?
Is it, if they want to do something besides, say, wildlife viewing? Is it,
I was
I know they-
particularly asking about the school event. I was just curious.
oh, no, I mean, you don't have to go to the school events. I mean,
Yeah.
like
I
say-
was actually interested, but I just thought if maybe some people didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that would be, I think, fine. I think Joseph and Willie, because it's their backyard there, I think if like we wanted to go, the group wanted to go on a little hike, bird watching, and say you want to say, well, I want to go to the school during that time. I mean, that definitely would be possible. Is that correct, Joseph?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess I would say that, we're there to see the animals and the birds and so on, but if we flew a third of the way around the world and didn't meet the people, then we would have missed something.
Yeah.
So
agree.
I think I would be up for, at least one of those kinds of events. I agree with the gentleman who asked if it would be all day. I don't know that that's what I'm looking for, but
Right.
it would be kind of nice, I think.
Yeah, it really is. And so, yeah, we'll definitely try to set something up like that, but keep it, kind of short and sweet. Okay, great. So I'm glad we could clarify that a little bit. All right, and this kind of surprised me too when I went there. You kind of pay your fee and you get room and board for the most part. But then when I started buying a beverage with my meals, I would get a bill at the end of the meals. Not everywhere. Sometimes the coffee and whatnot for breakfast is included. But if you're buying a soda, or if you wanted a Tusker beer or a beer of choice there, one drink, it does not come with the package. So just want to make you aware of that. So you'll be charged for that at the end of each meal. So I sometimes just bring in bottled water. So we'll have bottled water for you throughout the trip. We will pay for that. We will have bottled water for you during your driving. And if you needed a bottled water, if you want to just take water into the dining area with you and just drink the water, I mean, that would be fine too. But just so you're aware of that, is that correct too, Joseph? That hasn't changed, right?
That's correct. In all our booking in the lodges, we are all booked on full board basis. So that means your room, your breakfast, your lunch and dinner, including coffee for 4 early in the morning and 4 p.m. if we have time to have coffee at 4 p.m. We have a typical English culture in Kenya, so they will probably serve you coffee before you go for early game drive and coffee at 4 o'clock. So in the lodges, it comes with the package. But the drinks like a glass of wine, whiskey, lager, all those are charged separately. And they will charge it per room. So if you just tell them, I'm staying in room 2 or room 3, they will always bill you. And the last day of your stay, they will give you a bill.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes too, even at the beginning of our trips too, I don't know if anybody has a preference for certain snacks. They do have some nice supermarkets there, and we can always take a side trip on day one over to the supermarket. And if you wanted to pick up any snacks for traveling, you can do that as well. And they're pretty impressive, actually. They're just like anything we have here, supermarkets with anything and everything in them. So
I guess that kind of, I don't know if that fully answered the question or not for Josette, but she asked, are there several options for food options whenever you guys do go out to eat, or whenever you do eat? Is it mostly going to restaurants or going to places where they provide food, or is it going to be a mixture of things where when you do go someplace, if say there's food restrictions, are there other options for people?
I'm not sure what you mean by food restrictions, like a gluten.
Like dietary restrictions. So like say someone's allergic to something.
Oh, sorry, let me ask that, Bruce. if someone is allergic to, let's say, wheat, or doesn't eat bread or anything made of, or people are vegetarian, those one will just write to me before, then I will submit this information to the lodges.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up too. We'll have a questionnaire that will go around, and you give us your flight information if you're coming, and then we'll ask other questions as well. Do you have any dietary restrictions and exercise restrictions or stuff like that? So that'll.
Our cuisine here is more of an international cuisine. So what you'll probably have when you go to this Hilton in US or somewhere, so the food is basically up to that standard. If it might not be to that standard, but still,
yeah.
I mean, Bruce has been here before, so you'll probably speak to him.
Yeah, it's excellent, excellent food, and we basically are dining at the lodges, so we're not really going out into the local communities and going to some kind of a small chama zone or something, a meat kind of restaurant, yeah, and we can arrange, if you have a certain restriction on your diet, just let us know, and as Joseph said, we can take care of that ahead of time. Okay. All right. And power, I did bring this with me here. Here's my battery charger, right? So I have my battery, put it in there, has the 2-pronged, right? And so you want to make sure you have something. This is what plugs into the sockets there, these 3 prongers. You can see that. But on the back, of course, it adapts. And as I mentioned there, you may just want to bring like a power strip with 4 outlets, and then just put the adapter onto your power strip, and then you'll have, be able to plug in your anything, any device that you need for that. And we'll have some, if like you packed up everything, and I do this all the time, right? You pack everything, and like you okay, I think I got everything. You get on a plane, you get to, oh, I forgot this. Don't worry. We'll buy adapters or anything you need, power strips. Sometimes they have power strips you can just kind of plug it in, and you'll be able to plug your 2 prongs right into that power strip as well. So it's not a big deal for that.
So it's the massive 3-prong adapter, not like ours here in the US, where they're a little smaller.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And like I said, if you just bring your 4 outlet, 4-prong power strip or anything like that, and even if you don't, again, we'll have it available. We'll have these for you. Joseph, you can get these, right? These are available. And so don't worry if you can't find them.
If you can't get one in US, we'll find it. We'll find one for you in Kenya.
Yeah, I'll foot the bill on those ones for you guys. So don't worry. Yeah. I do mention that we have Wi-Fi. It's pretty poor at some of the resorts. You're pretty much out in pretty remote areas most of the time. They do have very good phone service though in most places. So everybody has a phone, cell phone, and most money transactions, in fact, are done through kind of a phone online phone system there, M-Pesa. So they're kind of a little more advanced in that sense than us. But we do have portable Wi-Fi devices, mobile Wi-Fi. They work fairly well, especially when we're driving. So that's something too, if everybody wanted to pitch in a little bit and get some Wi-Fi during travel time, which you might be on the road for a few hours, 4 or 5 hours driving to different places. So you may want to have some Wi-Fi and do some stuff on there. Well, that's an option anyway. Just want to let you know. Yeah, and phone devices too. I mean, you can use Wi-Fi in the hotels. You can communicate back home that way. If you need to make calls home, we have phones available that you can make calls from Kenya. It's not all that expensive, but if you need to check in with somebody, we'll have phones available for you to call home. let them know you made it and you're safe.
You can actually call through this, the WhatsApp, you know, the call through WhatsApp is pretty free, actually, as long as you have Wi-Fi.
Oh, man. Okay.
Okay, what else here? Oh yeah, the travel documents. First, yes, this is the website there. Just click on there and it'll take you. My computer here is getting old, so it says not secure. It's not the case, but this will show up here. And just punch in, create an account, log in. That's where I got my visa that I showed you earlier. Yeah, color. You might want to make a couple of colored copies. You know, backup of everything is definitely recommended. Yeah, I mentioned this too. We'll get more information, specifics about diets and any traveling restrictions, things like that. And like I said too, we'll meet you right at the airport. I know it can be overwhelming going overseas sometimes to a foreign place and like, oh, where'd I go? But pretty much it's pretty direct. People will direct you through the gates, you know, through the visa line and out that to baggage check. And then they'll have an area where they'll go, sometimes they'll open up a bag and just to see what you have, make sure you're not bringing anything you shouldn't be bringing in. You are allowed to bring a bottle of wine if you want it. But, that's up to you. But once you get through there, get through the check, you'll just go outside the airport area there, and we'll be right there. There's a bunch of people waiting, you know, with kind of taxi services and things like that. But I'll be there. Maybe I'll wear this shirt. So keep that one in mind.
So Bruce, another question that was posed is what date does everyone need to know, or do they need to let you confirm, or here, what date do we need to confirm we are going? So basically the latest date.
Yeah, Josette mentioned that before. I said payment needs to be done by the end of March. We'd like to have payment by the end of March. So I think gives people a lot of time. And I guess that would be the due date to decide whether you want to go or not. Would be end of March. Hopefully, I was talking to Joseph, you know, we'd like to have, you know, some people maybe make a commitment earlier than that. If you know for sure you want to go, we'd appreciate you letting us know. And then we can start kind of setting up some things. The earlier, the better. Maybe we can get some vehicle upgrades and things like that as well, because I want to give you the best experience possible.
Bruce, you said that you were going no matter what. Is there a minimum number of people you need to run this? Or maybe I should be asking Joseph, I guess, but
yeah,
that's my question.
We'd like to get about 5 people, at least 5 people. I have a friend from Sweden. He's already interested in coming as well. So I think I've got 1 person there. So we have 4 more people.
And is 5 including you? So is it you plus 5 or 5 including you?
Not including me.
Okay. So 4 more people in it in a realistic standpoint.
Now, I know, Scott, you mentioned you had somebody, friend that might be interested. I'm not sure if they're still interested or.
They're interested but unable to go. So that's unfortunate, but that's how it goes.
Bruce,
Yes.
excuse me, Bruce, could you give me the dates and the price again, please?
Yeah, it was June 25th when we
struggling to get a signal.
Starting, and July 10. Let me just yeah, I think at the end of this itinerary with pictures, put $67.50, and the cost doesn't include airfare. If you want a single room, it'd be really pricey. You'd have to add another $2,500. So we'll try to pair people up if you're going by yourself. Obviously, if you're going with your spouse. And at the beginning of this itinerary, first picture there, June 25th to July 10th.
Picture.
Thank you.
You're welcome to. Anybody else have any questions about that?
So we arrive on the 25th, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So for airfare purposes, we would have to be in Nairobi on the 25th at a particular time.
Not really. Generally, most flights will arrive around 10 o'clock at night. So you want to make sure you get your flight for, June 24th is when you want to depart, because then you'll arrive the next day. Remember the time zone differences too. But, generally you leave the 24th. And, just make sure you're arriving the 25th, and then once you have your itinerary, you'll just give us that information, and whatever time you're arriving, we'll be there.
Okay,
So if somebody comes in at 12 noon, we'll be there, pick you up, take you there, take you to the hotel. Somebody's coming in at 8 o'clock, we'll be there, pick you up.
okay.
So no problem.
Also along this line, Bruce, you've obviously made this trip more than once. Is there an airline that's kind of preferable in your view, or are they pretty much all the same?
I like Delta. I've had some bad experiences with United, but I really like Delta. They've had really excellent service.
Oh, United's good. They refunded my money when COVID happened.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. It's just, I had nothing but good experiences with them. And, they do have kind of high marks all the time when I check kind of their safety records and stuff. I mean, you can go other airlines, and then you can go through the Middle East, and then the Middle East over Qatar to Africa, but I tend to avoid the Middle East. It's just, I want to stay out of that part of the world. So it's up to you though. It's up to your preferences and what you want to do. But I think maybe the earlier you get, if you want to go, and maybe if you wait a little bit, even maybe I should have waited a little bit, because COVID's probably going to get a little worse before it gets better. And they might drop prices pretty drastically as well. So I would be on the lookout. And I got my ticket with a little extra leg room for about $1,500 round trip. I think you might be able to get it cheaper, And again, if you take different airline, I'm sure you get it a little cheaper. If you prefer 2 stops, I always like just the 1 stop. I go from here to the Netherlands, or from here. Sometimes I've been to the UK, or they'll take it to France or wherever. But generally it's the Netherlands. And I just like the 1 stop, and I get out for 2-3 hours, stretch the legs, and then get back on the flight and fly to Nairobi. But some people, if you get 2 stops, sometimes you go from here to say Newark, New Jersey, or Washington, DC, and then that would be a little cheaper. But it's up to you. I don't like to do that, but yeah.
And just process, do you need the visa before you can buy a ticket, or are they just thinking that's up to you, boy?
No, yeah, you don't have to.
In that process,
I got my ticket first, and then
can they hear you?
I've always found that one of the best days to buy tickets, honestly, and it's random, I don't have any scientific proof behind it, Tuesdays. I've always found prices for plane tickets are usually a little cheaper on Tuesdays. But if you look too much, sometimes they'll fluctuate more. So late evening, I've found, has always been a good time on Tuesdays. So might not hurt to look maybe tomorrow evening, see what prices are.
I just think it's going to be a buyer's market kind of out there, with the COVID stuff going on. So,
Possibly.
And that's another thing too, I was thinking, well, should we have the trip because of COVID thing? But you know what? If you're triple boosted, and I think we're getting hit by this new variant, I think I don't say the right time, but now it's going to hit us now, and it's going to hit us over the next 3 or 4 months. And I think after that, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Well, I think a lot of people have said that before. It hasn't happened, but I really do think that the worst of this next wave will be behind us, and hopefully everybody then will be also.
So I do have Josette raised her hand earlier. So Josette, did you want to ask?
Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead and just jump in, Josette.
Okay, so on 5 of the days, it says, actually specifically says game drives. So I'm guessing, how would you describe, what are the other days? Like, I understand what a game drive is specifically, But then how do the other days work? I guess I'm a little confused there.
No.
Most of the trip will be game drives, but maybe Joseph wants to comment.
No.
All right.
it's-
There are some days when we between destinations. Let's say we are traveling from Nairobi to Amboseli. And once we are in Amboseli, then we
Sounds
do
like
our
a
game.
sweet trip though.
Actually, other days,
Time out, just briefly. If you can keep your microphones muted, everybody, we could hear Joseph better. Thank you. Okay, Joseph.
all right. Okay.
Oh, it's a lot of people.
On the trip, so most of the days we are driving from destination to destination. Let's say if we're moving from Nairobi to Amboseli. Once we're in Amboseli, we will do a game drive early in the morning and late in the afternoon. The rest of the time in between, you relax in the lodge, you can do a swimming or you can walk around the lodge. But basically, it's all other time is we spend 2 days in Amboseli, and then after we have to move from one attraction to another, then spend 2 days or 3 days, depending on what our itinerary says. And that's actually how we progress on with the trip.
Yeah. In between traveling to some of the major parks, we'll be staying at some lodges, like in the Rift Valley Lake area. So we'll have a stay at Lake Naivasha. We'll have a stay at Lake Nakuru, and so we'll just kind of be along the shorelines there. And sometimes we'll have at Lake Baringo, there'll be a boat ride, a boat excursion, looking at bird life along the coastal areas there too. So that is part of it. But once we're at the parks, at the major parks, you'll definitely be going on game drives, usually in the morning and in the evenings. Or afternoon, I should say, not evening, but yeah. Joseph, you have another?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, on the vehicles, when we're on the game drives, does everybody have like a window seat, or is it like two people next to each other where possibly the person next to you won't be able to see outside?
Everyone has a window
Okay.
seat, and everyone can stand up because the vehicle has a pop-up rooftop. So you can open the rooftop and everybody can stand up and have a better view.
Yeah, there's no two seats next to each other. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, was Willie there? Did Willie check in there? I see Willie. Willie went to Uganda, I guess.
Hello.
Hi.
He's been having some on and off difficulties
Hello.
with the Zoom meeting.
Hello, Willie.
Hello.
Where are you?
Hi. How are you? Hello.
I don't think we're going to be able to have you
Hello.
online here, Willie.
I'm in
Northeastern Uganda,
so
Karamoja.
Okay. Karibu sana.
yeah, my friend wants to talk about his experience, and yeah.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
so I have
welcome.
a friend from Kenya, a Canadian friend. He wants to talk about his experience safaris in Kenya. So Tim.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Tim, welcome.
Hi everybody. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say a bit about the coronavirus situation since I've been living here since August, and it's pretty calm. I don't really think that you have much to worry about in that area. It's fairly under control, and I don't think it's any worse than countries like the UK or the US or Canada, really.
Yeah, good to hear.
And when you're on the, pardon me?
Experience safaris.
Okay, enough about the corona. Yeah, I've been birding with Wilson for years, and the places you guys are planning to go sound amazing, and you're gonna have such an awesome time.
And what do you think about? Yeah, what do you think about Willie?
He's an okay guy. Actually, he's one of my best friends, actually.
Yeah.
So I've been to Baringo 3 times, and we're on a hardcore birding trip in northeastern Uganda. So we're in the Karamoja region.
Great.
And we're gonna go to Kidepo Valley the next couple of days, and it's been just the birding has been absolutely mental on this trip. Just
Fantastic.
crazy. We saw standard wing nightjars, and every mountain range, every region has different suite of species. You can really rack them up on a birding trip.
Sounds great. Appreciate your views. And yeah, Willie is pretty
And
awesome.
I'm aiming for 700s for Kenya. 700, I'm almost there.
Ah, awesome. I think I only got about 550. So I'm getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much for your insights.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, Willie, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
But with Willie and then the other guides that you'll have. Joseph, yeah. Wilson is one of the best birders I've birded with in the region.
Yeah, he's amazing. And
Never met Joseph.
our clients will be thoroughly.
We don't have so much to talk now. Since we joined the meeting very late, we are very sorry, guys.
We've actually been jiggling with the signal for like an hour.
No problem. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night. Lala Salama.
But we hope to see you and take you along.
Chungana.
Wewe pia na lala salama.
Lala Salama.
Karibu Kenya.
Asante sana. Okay. Any other questions here? I know there's another thing about physical activity, and well, at all the parks you have to stay in the vehicles, but you get great looks at everything. But around the compounds, yes, you can move around and get exercise that way. Also at Lake Baringo and Lake Pagoria, we'll be able to walk around and look at wildlife there and explore some of the landscape. So, and it's really nice when we do that. And as Joseph mentioned too, you could, we could hire a local guide at the parks that could take you around on a hike. And again, that's something maybe some of you might want to do, or we all agree to do it, but that's something that would be extra if you wanted to do that. Yeah.
But the whole trip will be, to be action packed. So we'll be busy and busy and busy. So I don't think we'll have a lot of free time, if you ask me.
Okay.
But for instance, if we are in Masai Mara, who doesn't want to go out and see the wildebeest? Everybody wants to go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just when as far as attire and things like that, your shoes, you have to have sturdy bottom shoes. Everywhere you go, there's thorns and pickers and things like that. So I've had a few go through my shoes on occasion. So be aware of that. Lenses and cameras. Well, again, Joseph said whatever you've been using, perhaps. You don't really, I don't think, need to switch much. But I use a Canon Rebel camera and lens, 150, 600 millimeters. You can bring a wide angle lens. I don't generally bring one. I just use my phone, if I want to take a wide angle or videos of the animals that are close up. That works really well, in my opinion. Just make sure you have a lot of, space on your phone for making some nice videos, and don't run out of space. Make sure you bring some memory cards, extra. Make sure you have those available, because you'll have a lot of pictures, and it's before you know it, you'll be closing in on space. But also, I know the cards, pretty much you can almost use one card. You can get so much memory on one card now, but you might lose one. I don't know. Maybe you packed one and you say, well, where is it? So make sure you pack maybe a couple extra with you, a couple extra batteries and things like that. If worse comes to worse, I think maybe we can find a place for that. To Joseph, what do you think? Just in case as a backup, are there places you can purchase these kind of cards?
Memory card. Sorry.
I'm talking about like for the cameras, batteries for certain cameras, or are there any places for that? I don't think so.
I think maybe you have 2 pairs of batteries and maybe 3 pairs of I don't know, the memory card. Because everything might be very interesting, but it might get filled up pretty fast than you thought.
Yeah, and
You can always delete what you don't want.
yeah. Oh, sorry, Joseph. I was just going to say, if you bring some kind of storage device too, I don't know, you can pack your computer if you have a small computer.
Yeah.
I always like at the end of the day, one of the things I love to do is, download those pictures and put them up on the computer and kind of go through the day and what we found. And that's what we'll do too at the end of the day as well. We can sit down together and go over the species we've seen and make sure you mark them off. Yeah. And I did mention the birds of East Africa as the book, maybe. Let me hang on one second, everybody. Grab my book here. But this was the book that I like. The other one's nice too. I don't mind it, but I just like this one. And I think if we go on the trip, it might be nice if everybody had the same book. This way we, say, okay, on page, 75, here's the crested, whatever. Everybody can go to the same page, or in the back there's the checklist. So if we're sitting around and looking at these things at the end of the day, it might be nice to have the same book. It's
For those
not
you don't want to travel light, perhaps you can download an app. There's an app for that book online. You can just buy it online and you have it on your phone instead of traveling the whole.
Okay, there's an app for it. So, okay, that would be okay. But I generally, myself, I'm still a book guy. I love, looking at the book and reading things out there. I don't like jumping around on the computer, but
An option I'm giving out so people can know that it's plan B.
Sure. Binoculars, I see if I have my binoculars available. And again, I think everybody has their own preferences, but I've got the Nikon Monarch. I love these. You can see far and you can see close, so you might want something like that. But again, it's up to you. Sometimes I'm not even using my binoculars. I'm just looking at things through my camera, zooming with my camera, just to get an idea on things. So I do things a little differently sometimes.
Patricia asked, is there an active Ebird in Kenya?
Yes, it is. There it is.
Yeah, great.
You can submit from Kenya to Ebird. Most people do that nowadays.
Great. Yeah, they're again, these guys are great naturalists, and they are into everything pretty much other people are in around the world as far as wildlife and bird life go. They're amazing. I mean, their ability to identify birds, to me, was mind-blowing when I first came over there. I was just like, you just see a glimpse of something and they know what it is. It's just amazing. Joseph and Willie is just amazing. So I think you guys will be pretty impressed should you come over. Sunscreen, definitely recommended. We'll be going on a boat trip. I'm not sure how long, maybe. How long is a boat ride, Joseph? 2 hours?
Maximum 3 hours.
Yeah, maximum 3, maybe 2 hours. I think we'll probably do a 2 hour. I think that would be good enough to do what we have to do. But it could, depending on what people want. But I think that's enough. And you're definitely going to need sunscreen. A broad brimmed hat. I didn't write that on there too. I recommend a broad brimmed hat. I got it right here with me. I'm already getting ready. I got my ticket and I've got my visa, so I'm getting everything together. But yeah, that always comes in handy rather than just a baseball cap or something like that. So bug spray, yeah, again, if you want to be extra cautious, apply a little bug spray, keep the mosquitoes away, especially in Lake Baringo. But again, I don't use it, but you may want to do it. So it's up to you. And the clothes, we mentioned the shoes already. A nice, comfortable, pair of sandals is always good for the lodges when we're walking around a little bit, leisure time. But I like, as far as the pants go, I like kind of the safari gear, safari pants, with the kind of the zip off bottoms, and they turn them into shorts. And I also mentioned too, have pockets, with at least a Velcro strip on it, or maybe a zip, one or two of the pockets have like a little zip kind of pocket on it where you can put your passport and money. Just like anywhere in the world, you have to be aware, of your merchandise. So just be aware of that. But at the lodges, I've never had a problem with losing anything. In fact, I think I left a pair of shoes at one of the lodges, and somebody put it on a inside of a vehicle, and they shipped it over to me. So very good people at the lodges looking out for you. But you want to take that kind of stuff with you wherever we go. You don't want to just leave your passport behind in the room when you go on Safari Drive, right? You don't want to leave your cash just in the room. So, okay, no, take everything with you wherever we go.
So George asked, will we be able to purchase stuff like sunscreen, bug repellent? He says, I guess yes, meaning I wouldn't have to have a tube of bug stuff exploding in my carry-on. Which, with your carry-on, that's one thing you do want to be careful about flying. They only allow a certain amount of ounces when you have a carry-on. It'd be your luggage that you put through that would have to store all of your stuff, but you do have to put it in a plastic, well, not a plastic baggie. You'll want to purchase non-bag type containers because plastic bags are illegal in Africa. So you're going to want to make sure you have something to put them in. So that way, maybe if they do explode, at least you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, you could have, those, personal, zip
up
plastic, whatever, purses or whatever you call them. That's fine, but no plastic bags, grocery bags, stuff like that. It's just made an incredible difference in Kenya. Again, they're ahead of us in many ways. It's really made a difference in the landscape there without the plastics all over the place. So very happy about that. And also from an energy perspective, you're going to a country that basically 90% of their energy is from renewable resources. Hydroelectric right now being the biggest, but they're getting into geothermal big time, and wind power and solar power, because it's a very diverse country with many different avenues for generating alternative electricity. So in that sense, I know we're flying in a plane and everybody says, well, that's, blowing up your carbon footprint. I understand that, but you're going to a place that is really using a lot of renewable energy while you're there too. So at least you have that going for you visiting Kenya, not someplace else.
So on the no plastic bags, that means no Ziploc bags either, right? It's not no grocery bags.
Yeah. No Ziploc bags, stuff like that. All right. Any other questions out there about anything at this time?
I had a question that I don't feel like it was mentioned, and I don't know if there's necessarily an answer, but I know when you cross to other countries, sometimes there's cultural do's and don'ts. And so I guess something that if that say Americans, we do something, it could be something minor that maybe we have a habit of doing that maybe is just a complete cultural do not do over in Africa that people should be aware of.
I guess Joseph could answer that question. Because he's coming at it from his point of view. So what do you think, Joseph?
There are, like when it's basically very like it's a polite to ask someone before you take a picture, how.
Yeah.
So they'll probably, it's very polite when you tell them, can I make a photo of you? And if they say no, that is the end of the story. If they say, sometimes they will demand for some monetary fighting for it, then you can negotiate for it, and then you can do business together. Actually, it's not that just some friendly fires, where you in Kenya we negotiate anything basically.
Yeah, I've had that kind of experience. Yeah, maybe you're taking a picture of something else, and somebody's in the picture, and they see you pointing the camera. Like they might come after you, say, "Hey," So just be careful with that. And there are military personnel, police all along the routes, and keeping security. And again, you don't want to be photographing pictures of the military and things like that. That's definite no, but I think that's common sense. But very, very safe along the routes. So, yeah, and I did mention too, I forgot to just mention about the masks too. If you want to bring a facial mask in the era of COVID, that's probably a good thing to do. Bring a few face masks, but also when you're driving, things can get fairly dusty in some places, especially when you're driving behind another van or two. So just be aware of that. It might be helpful to cover your face at times.
So I guess kind of, you mentioned here earlier about a large suitcase and a large travel duffel bag. So I've read on various websites that they recommend specific types of bags, that certain ones can be inconvenient when it comes to safaris and game drives. And so do you maybe have recommendations if people don't already own one that they should purchase?
Joseph, what do you think? Obviously the ones that are more kind of collapsible and not rigid.
Yeah. Those suitcases that can be packed behind the car. We have a car boot. So normally if we have 4 people in per car, those will basically suit in that without any problem. And perhaps, like I said, maybe you might want to travel light actually, because if you need, in the hotels, they provide laundry services at a reasonable price, so you don't really have to worry about packing a lot of clothes. And yeah, I mean, that normal suitcase is a 4 square one. It's basically what you need to have. Then perhaps you should also have a backpack just to carry your drinking water, your camera. I will also suggest that you have a money belt where you'll be putting your money and your passport. You go everywhere you go with your passport. You don't leave in the room. You don't. It's always better you have it with you all the time.
Well, that's a good point too. Yeah, and of course, when I was talking about the zip-off leggings and things like that, that again, the pockets and stuff, that would take care of that. Then you wouldn't have to worry about that if you have, a money belt or something like that to carry with you to put that kind of stuff in there. So that's a great point, Joseph.
I guess I'm curious, Josette, is that your hand raised from your previous question, or did you have a new question?
It's from the first time. I'm all set.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions out there that we can answer right now? Anybody? And I know, George, I think you mentioned, are you still there, George?
I am. I was on mute, but I'm here.
Yeah, okay, because George was mentioning that maybe he can't go for, the 16 days. I think that's the best, but we can also, tailor to 10 to 12 days, depending on, what you have available from, a working standpoint, what your vacation time is and stuff like that too. So we can work with you on that and, just get in touch with me and, we can set up another meeting. We can do something individually if you want to do that as well. But after this meeting, you can get a hold of me for that purpose, but I'd also like to then maybe, if people are committed to going, then we can start working on getting out information to you about flights and kind of the personal information we would need from you for the trip there. As far as medications go and again, dietary preferences and exercise restrictions or something like that. So the sooner we know, the better.
So Bruce, these Kenya trip questions, is there any way that you could send this to me so I could post it on our webpage as well? Just that way, if people maybe missed this, maybe for some reason they came in late and they are interested, but maybe they didn't participate in the last few sessions.
I can do that maybe in a little bit, but like I said, I don't think it's too necessary at this point unless you're really dead set on going. Because I think that'll just come after. It's just something supplementary, but you have to make your choice first.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else out there from anybody? And again, feel free to contact me anytime with any other questions. I think everybody has my email now. I send out to everybody, all the participants. Just get in touch with me at any time. I'll be happy to answer any more questions or send them on to Joseph if I can. And I'm looking forward to setting up a trip with at least 5 people. Would be fantastic. I think we'd have a great time. It'd be great to host you. Okay, Josette. Any other questions out there?
Nope, I'm all set.
Okay, any comments from anybody? Would like to share your views about anything?
Just a general thanks for the information and sounds great.
Thanks, George. Yeah, it'd be great to have you over there. I know you love it.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. All right. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to have the kind of, I know a lot of you personally. I've seen you on the Detroit Audubon trips. I know what great people you are. And it'd be great to have our first inaugural trip over there with you guys as company. So thank you very much. Asante Sana, or in Joseph in the Pukot, Ashe Oleng.
Ashe Oleng, yeah, bye-bye, and thanks for listening to us.
Okay. Thank you.